Hi, English 1 people. This is going to be the lesson for September 23rd if you are one of my odd people, and September 29th if you are an even person. So, as we are talking today, if you are in person for the next couple days, we're going to be doing another round of testing. I know I hate to do it to you, but this one is going to determine your reading levels. So when Miss Miranda from the library was in here the other day, she was talking about getting books that are at our reading level. So we're going to take a test that determines that. We're all at a little bit of a different spot, and that's perfectly fine wherever you're at, because the library has tons of good books that are at a ton of different reading levels. So that's what we're going to be doing in person, and then the rest of the class will be continuing to work on our gathering evidence for our Lizzie boarding case. So let me share my screen so I can kind of show you what's happening. As always, you need to be reading for 10 minutes so that when we fill out our reading log, you have something to write about. If you haven't been reading anything, you're going to be at a loss for a summary or a reflection to give me of reading because you haven't read anything. So even if you're at home, make sure you're reading for 10 minutes. Remember, you have that virtual library, and we've checked out books at the library. So you really don't have an excuse to not have a book with you. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on Adelaide Churchill's testimony today. But before we do that, I kind of want to give you an idea of what your evidence tracker should be looking like at this point. I know I keep telling you, you need evidence, you need to form a theory, and then you need to decide, does that theory make Lizzie look innocent or guilty? But I wanted to give you some student examples. Some of your peers have done a really super awesome job, so I wanted to showcase that. I made it anonymous so that the identities were protected, but and this is for Bridget, the housemaid, or she goes by Maggie. So this student wrote Maggie a lot, but they're the same person. Bridget and Maggie are the same. So a piece of evidence that they found is that Maggie locked all of the doors. That's what she told us in her testimony. Maggie said that all the doors were locked. The theory that they formulated from that is that, well, if all the doors were locked, then no one from the outside would be able to get into the house to murder the parents. So if Lizzie was in the house at the time, that would make Lizzie guilty. See how they formed a theory of what happened. They formed an idea of what could have happened to the Bordens based on the evidence that they found. Another piece of evidence that they found was that Maggie remembered Thursdays better than any other day. So as the person was questioning Maggie over and over, she couldn't really remember any other day, but Thursday was very crystal clear in her mind. A theory that this student formed based on the fact that Maggie is remembering Thursday way better than any other day, is that she had the murder planned out to begin with. So their theory is that Maggie or Bridget is the murderer and not Lizzie. And so that theory makes Lizzie innocent. Even though it makes Bridget guilty, I want you to think of this as, is Lizzie innocent or guilty? Even though we might have another suspect, I want you to always bring it back. Okay, does this theory make Lizzie innocent or guilty? So notice how they use that evidence to create a scenario in their mind of what could have happened. It might not be the right one. There might be a couple different theories that you can create, but I want you kind of crafting a story about what could have possibly happened to the Bordens based on evidence that you find in here. Let's look at one more. And this is going to be linked under resources on the daily page that I post. So you have access to this page to go back and look at. I only put their Bridget evidence because I want you to do your own. I don't want you to just copy from what they have. But this works for every single testimony that we're going to read. I want you to set it up in the same way. Okay. Let's see. So this person found some similar evidence as the first one. This person also saw that Bridget did not clean the personal bedroom. So Bridget tells us in her testimony that she was not in charge of cleaning Mr. and Mrs. Borden's bedrooms. So if Bridget never went into the bedrooms, how could she be the killer? This makes Lizzie look guilty, not Bridget. So see how they are crafting kind of a theory of what could have happened based on their evidence. She locked the back door when she came in. So all the doors were locked the whole time other than when she went outside. So we find that she actually did leave the house for a little bit, and that could possibly make her guilty. So they're always tying it back to the evidence that they find, and they're kind of crafting a story or a theory or an answer to what happened to the Bordens. Okay, so I have those linked there for you in our daily page. That is under resources and then student examples of the evidence tracker. For the witness testimonies, I realize we're all kind of at a little bit of a different spot. As of today, I'm putting these in order of how we've read them. So you should have already done Bridget. You should have done Hyman Lubinsky, Benjamin Handy, John B. Morse, and then today we're doing Adelaide Churchill. So you should have 5 completed already in your evidence tracker. I want you to continue to add to this same exact evidence tracker. I don't want you to start a new one for every witness testimony we read, because when we go back to write our essay, all of our evidence is going to be in one document if we keep adding to it. So I want you to keep adding to it and turning in the same document. So the first time you turn it in, it's going to be, a lot of it is going to be blank because you just haven't done the other ones yet. And that's okay. I'm tracking your progress, okay? So I want to track your progress and see how you progress through the testimonies. So when you turn in Hyman Lubinsky, you're only going to have 2 pages complete on your evidence tracker. The rest are going to be blank, and that's okay. So you need to be okay with the fact that you're going to turn in a document that's not completely filled out, and that's okay. But by the end, after we read Lizzie Borden's testimony, it's all going to be complete. So you'll turn it in. That'll be the final time. And then we'll get to go back and look at all the evidence that we've compiled over the last couple weeks and figure out what we think. Is Lizzie innocent or guilty? Do we have more evidence that Lizzie's innocent, or do we have more evidence that she's guilty? We shall see. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. So that is linked there for you as well, because rather than like searching through every day's module, I figured having them all in one place would be way easier. So that is there for you. Today your assignment is to do Adelaide Churchill's testimony. So Adelaide is the neighbor. She's the one that Lizzie calls when Lizzie finds the dead bodies. So Adelaide rushes over. Adelaide tells us all about her experience. I want you to focus on, this is the focal point. This is something that you need to pay attention to. How does Adelaide describe Lizzie's emotions of that day? Think about how you would react. Think about what your emotions would be like if you were in Lizzie's position, if you had found your parents or any important family member to you axed to death in your home, that would be very traumatic. But how would you react? Would you be crying? Would you pass out? What would you do? And then focus on, okay, what is Adelaide saying that Lizzie was like when she found out? So that's an important piece, I think. So make sure you focus on that. But if you read for 10 minutes and then you complete Adelaide Churchill's testimony in your evidence tracker, you are done for the day. That's not a lot because I want you to use this time to get caught up. I've given you examples of what your evidence tracker should look like. So you need to make sure that you have those first 5 people filled out in your evidence tracker, okay? We really need, use this time. I'm not giving you a lot of assignments today purposely because I want you to use this time to get caught up, all right? If you have questions, please, please, please email me. I will definitely be available to email. We can also set up a time to Zoom. If you really need some one-on-one, face-to-face explanation, but you're at home virtually, I can absolutely Zoom with you and we can get that figured out, okay? So please let me know what you need from me. Other than that, have a wonderful rest of your day.